Hello. I think we're live.
Oh, God.
Are we live?
Give us a thumbs up. We're live.
We're just
We can
running
see we've got nothing going on in front of us.
Yes, yeah, it's all blank right now. How's it going? But hopefully not in here. Hey, guys, we're going to talk about Ms. Marvel. The finale's up, so there's going to be a full spoilers for the finale. And actually, there's some pretty big MCU stuff to talk about.
Really? Like what?
We'll get to that. Well, I think we have to deal with that first. I'm Eric. This is Lon. This is Bailey. We're going to talk Ms. Marvel. Okay, one more spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. Full spoilers. All right. You ready, guys? You ready? Because I think we have to jump into the thing first. There's a lot I want to talk about this finale, but we got to deal with the thing first.
There's a big thing.
They said a word. They said a word on this show. They said the word mutation.
Yeah, they did.
Mutation.
I gasped with my whole body.
Yeah.
Yes. What did you think about this is it? This seems like we'd wondered if they were like little other things might be tendrils towards this. They've had the rights to use the mutants for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
This is the first time it seemed to be we have our first mutant and her name is Kamala Khan. And
We have confirmed a mutant.
yes.
In universe.
Yes.
We've kind of played around with, in other versions of the universe.
Right. We had Professor X.
Right. But like never in the MCU, this person is a mutant. And what I was saying before the show is I think it's very interesting that they did it in such a way that it wasn't just we are going to begin introducing new characters who are mutants. So like maybe you'll meet Jubilee, who knows? Obviously it's still on the table. But it's almost like in a retroactive way. Like they may go back and let us know that people we'd already met who we assumed were humans are actually mutants with this mutation, and just Bruno hasn't happened to do a DNA test on them.
That's right. Maybe what's Matt Lintz, is that his name? I think maybe he'll be busy.
We need he needs to start the MCU's 23andMe and go through and figure out what's going on with all these folks.
Right. So you had a big reaction, Bailey?
I did. I said the word mutation out loud. Mutation.
Kamala, do you know what this means?
I paused and rewound to make sure that I had heard it right.
Like an angry congressperson in an X-Men movie. Mutation.
Yeah, no, that was the exact vibe. Exactly.
Someone needs to form a bureau and monitor these people.
I was so excited, and then when she was just like, whatever, and then it goes to credits, and I thought that was so charming and nice, and I was got to be so excited, and my basic vibe is, oh man, I'm so hyped for this.
I think it's great. I think it's a super fun way to do this, because we even were having these talks 2 years ago about, mutants is such a big idea. Will they just have them all come from another universe? What will they do? But now, like you said, Lon, it's like she's one of them. They're going to say we've already met others. Scarlet Witch is a pretty good guess on one character they could do that with. There's some, I won't say because it's not out there publicly quite yet, but there's a lot of big rumors about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, introducing some other major elements of Marvel that have not been in MCU yet. And I think if they are, that's going to be another part of the mutant thing we're going to get here.
Yeah.
What did you think about the one divisive thing, of course, with some people online is she's not an Inhuman. They already changed her power set, and now it's like, okay, we wondered, would we get back to Inhumans? And when he said, I thought he might say something Inhuman, but he didn't.
Right.
He said a mutation.
Oh, yeah, I thought that's what they were.
Yeah, I have no qualms about that. As someone who reads the comics and loves the comics, I'm not beholden to her being a Inhuman.
Well, I mean, I think the big question is, are they just going to, because that show did not please the fans, and
right.
It's maybe not the brand name that they want to keep bringing up. Are they maybe just going to push Inhumans to the side for now, and anything they want to do in Inhuman world they can just now kind of repurpose as mutants?
I'm guessing yes. I think we got our nice little Black Bolt moment.
To me that feels like, okay, let's put a cap on Inhumans with this, and now we'll move over into mutants.
And for those, I want to say this sort of as succinctly as possible, for those who don't know, in corporately comic book world, when they made Kamala Khan an Inhuman, it was because they were trying to make Inhumans a bigger deal because they didn't have the movie rights to X-Men.
Right.
And they were like putting all their eggs in the Inhumans basket, which never really worked. Everyone loved Kamala and Ms. Marvel, but people were not like, yes, Inhumans is as cool as X-Men. That never happened.
Shockingly, that did not happen overnight.
So I'm like, she would have been a mutant probably if it weren't corporately where they were at a few years ago. So it's fine. It's fine.
As a more casual viewer who knows the shows and the films and not necessarily the comic books, I think it works great. It's perfectly clean for me.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
Your excitement, Bailey, is like I share. It's like they're because it's a big deal that they can use mutants and X-Men and all that. By the way, they play that little bit of the X-Men animated series.
That, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it works for me because I'm old and I remember the 90s cartoon, but it almost feels like the 90s theme is just now the X-Men theme in the MCU forever.
I'm a child and I remember the X-Men.
Well,
I think you've got a few because yes, they had Elfman quote it in Doctor Strange.
In Doctor Strange too. So like it's come up multiple times now. I just have to assume that at least that sting is the MCU X-Men sting.
I think so, and it's like we're getting the X-Men 97 is coming in actual contain. But also I think it was smart to put it here only to take away any doubt. We can't sit here and be like, maybe they're going to pull the rug from underneath us. It was like that musical stings to be like underline.
Yeah.
Mutation means what you think it means.
You think a Sentinel is
going to be an X-Men thing.
Yeah.
We aren't just weirdly using the word mutation and then taking it in a different direction. Don't worry.
No, it's not a psych thing. We'll get to the mid-credit scene later. But what did you guys think just overall of this finale?
I loved it. For me, this might be controversial. For me, this is the strongest Marvel TV show they've done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there have been a lot of really good shows. I think Hawkeye is the one that is closest for me in quality, because my major issue with Loki and WandaVision, which were both great shows, was neither of them really stuck the landing for me. The WandaVision finale obviously was a little controversial quality-wise, I would say. Didn't quite live up to the promise of the rest of the episodes. Mm-hmm. The Loki finale I just hated with my whole body.
I mean, it was interesting, a guy coming in we never seen before and monologuing for an hour.
Monologuing exposition for an hour, and I was like, cool, I love this, how fun. This show had maintained its tone, maintained its theme, introduced so many likable, great characters, and just ended in a really satisfying way where we got a hint at where the thing was going without it overwhelming the actual premise of the show, which I think was the Loki problem, where they decided to pivot it to make it like a springboard for something bigger when they should have just focused on making a decent finale for the show.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with all that. I mean, I have my structural problems with all of these Disney Plus shows. It runs through all of them. It runs through this one too. It's just messy. It's like the pilot and the finale should kind of have this like parody where all the things that are set up there kind of play out. And I feel like it did a lot of that last episode, leaving this episode to be more of like this weird kind of pivot point, which I don't think works perfectly for a finale. So I did have some of those reservations, but it ended up not mattering because Iman Vellani, I think in particular, like she's this show for me. Like the strength of that performance and it was so consistent. And she really brings it home, I think, at the end. And that journey from being this uncertain, a high school student full of self-doubt to like, a believable superhero, like somebody we could believe is going to go have outer space adventures with the rest of the Marvels now. And like to get there, I think works so well. And I like the bit at the high school where all of her sort of allies from throughout the show have to like come help with this sort of caper almost against the damage control people. And so, I felt like it worked well enough as a standalone episode that I kind of got over most of my issues with the show.
Yeah, because I loved it. But I also think I said this last week, but it's like, I do wish this is the first of all the shows that I felt I wish I'd had one or two more episodes.
Oh, I definitely.
Because there are things, the beginning of this episode has to rush through a lot of stuff with her family finding out and the costume and even Zoe coming back, who I think we hadn't seen since the second episode.
Yeah.
And it felt like if we had a little more time to breathe, because I think the Pakistan stuff was important, but I felt like there should have been one more episode or something, a bridging episode.
I think more than any other Disney Plus show, this one would have benefited from 8 or 10 as opposed to 6. It just feels like they had so much they wanted to do. And you do need the Pakistan stuff. You got to go back into history.
Yep.
You need all that. That's important thematically. But it takes us away from Jersey City for a long time.
And so I have that quibble, but I still thought they stuck the landing like very well because it was again, first of all, her being so winning, performance-wise, character-wise, at the center of it. And then, it just all really worked. It was really fun. All of those people coming together and fighting together. And I think it's my second favorite. I think WandaVision still squeaks by just because of what it was doing, even though I also agree the finale was not everything I wanted it to be. But this is right on its heels because I just think it just delivered so much as far as like a brand new character, a brand new, no really familiar elements except for Agent Cleary and damage control. And it was just,
Stewie from Succession getting
Stewie from Succession.
Every time I see him, I'm like, from Succession. And my watching buddy is like, I know from Succession. This is like the 6th time you
Call
said
Sandy and Stewie. Get out of here.
But yeah, I thought that, it really all sort of came together there and delivered. Now, what did you think? Because we talked last week about it, was kind of the clandestine element was strange, and Cameron's mom, and now we were like, okay, so is damage control kind of the final villain? And it was Deaver was certainly Cleary was not the worst of the worst. It was Agent Deaver, who was kind of the bad guy here. And then what did you think though of her role, and then Kamran's role, sort of how, because we wondered, would he have a heel turn? What exactly had happened to him here?
Cameron, I wish there had been a little more specificity in what exactly happened. Like his mom either, sacrificed herself to close the gap between universes or whatever, and then somehow her powers seemed to transfer to him or invade him, and he was feeling ripped apart by them.
Possessed him like a ghost.
Yeah, but like I would have like one more line of dialogue or one more beat about like, well, what's really happening? Like if we get him to this boat and he gets out of town, is he gonna live? Like he looked like he was about to die. And so there were a couple beats where I was like, wait, can we just clarify what's going on with him? So I felt like that was a little weird. I thought the clandestine stuff, getting rid of them, was probably the right call, and like simplifying so that we could focus this on Kamala and her journey and bringing her crew together. And like I feel like that was the right decision rather than mucking it up with more clandestines mythology stuff.
Right. Sure. Although I wish that for me the funniest part of the episode was in the previously on when they like cut away from the part where you see the bad CG skeleton. They're like, you remember that, right?
Like, look, we weren't pleased with that.
It didn't look ideal. I mean, a lot of stuff's been coming out about the VFX conditions at Marvel, and I think my major quibble with this show is that the VFX does look rushed.
Yeah, there's a general thing beyond even Marvel. There's been multiple reports now that there is like a back pile at all the FX houses for everything in Hollywood because of COVID delays.
If you follow enough people in LA on VFX Twitter, you see these complaints coming in real time.
So everyone, every project is like down to the wire, and everything is being rushed.
I will say though,
yes,
in fair, like I don't think any of the blame for any of this falls on VFX artists.
No,
this is
not at
budgeting
all.
planning. I want to put that out there first, but I would also say it's also conceptually, like I feel like so many of these shows and these action scenes and these fights build around, well, then this character is going to push their light powers at this character who hits their light powers. And then like we make fun of this in Honest Trailers all the time too, where it's like the magic fights eventually all become like goo battles. Like the goo coming out of my wand's going to overpower the goo coming out of your wand.
These goos are crystals.
And these goos are crystals. But anytime you find yourself writing like, and then they fire their goo crystals at their goo crystals and they clash, and it's like, well, then you're leaving it 100% to the VFX artists. They're the only ones who now have to make this scene work, because you're just kind of being like, well, there's like a light battle. And to give you like a counterexample, like Doctor Strange 2, one of the things I like the most about it is there was thought on the conceptual level as to like what a magic battle would actually be like.
Right.
It's not just goo flinging at goo, it's musical notes, or like I have to get inside the mind of one of the people building the magic shield so that I could get through, like there's like that one extra conceptual level of thought can salvage scenes like this from becoming light blast versus light blast.
What I did like about it is that when they start fighting, they didn't underline what I think, they let it just play out, which is that Kamran is, like you said, he is, obviously he's like in pain, physically in pain.
He feels like he's being crushed from the inside.
And then he finds out his mom died, and damage control is coming at him. So it's like he's not pulling his punches. I liked how they just had, without Kamala and him talking about it, it's just, she's trying to stop him from killing anyone. She like, blocks him. And then even like when he accidentally makes the car fly at everyone and she catches and stops it, they should make sure to show he's relieved. So it's like, he's not like unhinged, just like,
he didn't want to kill anyone.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't go full Killmonger at the end.
Right. And in fact, and then retroactively I realized it actually plays into like, a classic like mutant out of control thing if he is also a mutant.
Oh yeah.
I realized that kind of plays into that with what happens there, and her representing, because it's because also the show has, they never go fully into it, but they do dabble in the fact that this is a community that is obviously dealing with a lot of persecution and prejudice, and mutants all deal with a lot of that too.
Sure.
So I think it all kind of overlaps there at the end. When I watched it again, I watched it 2 times, knowing she's a mutant. I'm like, okay. This kind of works with a lot of those analogies they've always used for mutants.
I think it does. Like, this scene is a great example of like a vintage like X-Men kind of scene. Like, just as we're used to mutants being sort of hunted and mistrusted, shadowed by the government, at the mosque they're all used to constantly having to show their IDs and tell authorities who they are because they're always under suspicion as well.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly like kind of X-Men metaphor they love.
I'm gonna dabble. Oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say this show's really good at like the thematic parallels. Like even before it's about mutants, like the coming of age parallels, the family parallels, Kamran's situation as a person who is from another dimension but was born in ours versus Kamala's situation where she's from Pakistan but she was born in America, and like that whole combination of like parallels. And it's just it's so like, I thought it was so skillfully done. You had just such a good I keep saying parallels, but a good parallel journey between the major characters in this that really made the emotional beats of this feel so earned and satisfying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this before, but it's like, because I genuinely liked her family and her friends, and so it just was like, I was just into all those characters, helping her out there. I'm glancing some of the comments here. John Baybridge mentions everyone forgets Quicksilver is also the first mutant, I guess, alongside his sister, if we were to say that. He also survived the Mind Stone. I think I do think they're gonna say that Scarlet Witch is a mutant, and I'm sure they'll bring him up too. But are they the first? I don't know.
Like it depends. I think it depends on what happens next with Scarlet Witch. Like you could read the end of Doctor Strange 2 as we're gonna. Like, she's gone, at least for now, but I don't believe that myself. So I feel like, yes, once she's back in this new reality, obviously that's going to come up. And I bet somebody would also be like, and your brother, too, probably.
Yeah.
If they remember to mention it. They forgot to mention Vision very much in the last movie. She sort of forgot.
Right.
She was busy.
She said one time, like she says one line about like I had to kill my husband.
She says Viz had theories on the multiverse.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Okay, twice.
And then we should mention, we were talking about powers earlier, that they, again, because it was a comic book fan controversy that her powers are different in this, that she does do the embiggen thing at the end. Now it's not her literally stretching her body, but she kind of crystal stretches,
enough.
I think
pretty stretchy.
I think it works.
She looked like a crystal Gumby.
Yeah. I liked it. I mean, the word embiggen kind of comes out of nowhere, but I still liked it because I'm, fanboying out. But you can see her regular hands in there.
The word came to her and she felt it.
I feel like too, this gets you around the inherent goofiness of a live action like silly putty girl whose things are all like bendy and huge. I feel like it's easier to make this not look super goofy, whereas that you'd have to work really hard to make it not look super goofy.
And they're gonna have to deal with that with Mr. Fantastic. So I think it's like they're
already in this pickle. So,
right.
Multiple characters who to me it's got a glowing supernatural thing about it that doesn't make it look so much like Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, she felt the glow. I was into it.
Yes, he's the last dragon.
That's right. Dan Gibbons, by the way, is he loves their commitment to using the old 90s X-Men theme to highlight mutant.
He's probably over 30.
Right. I mean, I think for now I get it. I think just like, I don't know if I need it, 5 years from now, but I
mean, it's a bop. It's a jam.
Yeah.
I'm not denying.
I like a good musical stinger. I like when certain concepts and people have themes that get played with every time they appear. I think that's great. I think that's good storytelling.
I recently listened to the commentary on Doctor Strange 2, and I think Raimi said it was Feige's was like, hey, we should use the X-Men theme when
the guy loves branding.
Yeah. So hey, who are we
throw the branding in.
Let's talk about in this episode. We really got to. They really definitely made her sort of like the hero of Jersey City. I really liked her kind of going through the city for the first time. It was very video game with her making those platforms and even the sound effect. Bailey, did you appreciate that?
I mean, they had already referenced Donkey Kong in the episode before, so they were like, get ready for some platforming action, and I was like, heck yes, got my Celeste going on. She's crystalling around. Oh, that was actually a solid reference. Celeste was full of crystals.
There you
All
go.
right, way to go, me. All right.
Nailing this.
I loved it. I thought it was a fun action sequence that, like, I was worried that the tone would shift because it had been so, like, light and high school and teen whatever, like, for all of it, that I was like, oh, but then the action sequence is going to come, or we're just gonna get the same Marvel thing we always do. But I think they kept the tone the same, like the sort of like Home Alone-esque shenanigans. Felt so funny and like perfect for Marvel, but still appropriate for the vibe of the show to that point, that I thought it was just really expertly done. I was very impressed.
This was the Bad Boys for Life duo directed this one, right?
Yes, they came back to this one.
Yeah, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. And
we're doing Batgirl next.
And, right, and I think that that's what, obviously there are a lot of constraints. These are not directorial showcases, these shows, but I do think you could tell when very good filmmakers come in and they can find their moments to like put in a memorable shot or make something look cool or find a way to visually express something. And there were a few of those moments in this finale. There's one shot where her dad is watching her run off on the platforms, and you reflect.
I know. I believe we have a screen cap.
Reflect the platform in his eyeglasses. And this is not the most original. Like a lot of filmmakers do the like reflection in the eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Thing. It's just a really nice way that they film it and frame it, and it looks really good. And there you go. And it's like, well, that's what you get when you get big Hollywood filmmakers who are making, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence movies to come in and do your TV finales.
/ we don't have the time or budget to.
But it was great. But I did think that because there've been a couple times where we literally just heard her like.
Right.
But I thought that was a great.
It's a nice way, and it's nice. It speaks to theme and character, and he's sort of almost in awe of her at that point, and I really feel like it captures that.
I loved that because like she had her like moment with her mom where they sort of reconciled, and the costume bit had its like full circle moment, and that was so lovely. But she needed that moment with her dad because that when she like rejected him at the beginning of the season, like it was so heartbreaking. So when at the end he's the one who gave her name, it felt so good and like closure-y. It was just sorry, just keep gushing about it. I thought it was really good.
No, I did too. Like the the cheesy, if you'll say, because I just thought it all landed. It all just like that landed. I liked the city all surrounding her at the end. And then I really liked that scene with her dad. That was because her family had been such a likable part of the show from the beginning, and and because he didn't go on the Pakistan story with them, this was a really great moment there.
And I loved the brother relationship is so good. The brother's so cool anyway, and it's such a realistic sibling thing to do. Be like, did you drop that kid on purpose? First question.
Oh, and I love that kid coming back and saying about mentioning that too.
I guess that's just the beta test.
Yeah, that she broke my leg. Also, it actually helped solve a little issue for me that when Bruno comes at the end and he says the whole mutation thing, he also says that your brother was asking me, do I have powers too? Because I'm like, that would be a conversation.
Yeah, that would come up.
Like, they frame it in a funny way, like the brother's probably jealous, but it's like, everyone in the family is like, well, we're all descended from this woman too.
Right. Yeah. Give me the bangle.
Right. What's going on here? Let's see. I like this observation from Spandana Vadula. I hope I'm saying that right. Is this the first teenage protagonist of any genre to have not only a happy and healthy family, but also accept her hero role? Yeah, she doesn't have a tragic death of a loved
both
one.
living parents is already an outlier.
Right? And she's not like, this is a curse.
These are the most loving and supportive parents in the entire Marvel universe. I love them so much. I just want to see a show about them.
Yeah.
Like Kamala's in the background doing cool things too, but mostly it's just about her fun family.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, to me, after the whole show, that's really what stands out is the family storyline, the personal storyline is way more compelling here than the superhero stuff, and that's fine. I don't think that's a knock on the show. I just think like it's cool that we're far enough down the rabbit hole of MCU and Disney Plus shows now that you can have one like that, where it's like there's superhero action, she's got an origin story, but that's really not the focus. The focus is the interpersonal story about these characters.
I said this like a few SJUs ago, but it is sort of like it's a teen coming of age story that has a superhero B plot.
Exactly.
And I'm fine with that. I think it's really well balanced and it's handled really well.
Yeah, I get that, some people who hadn't seen this show had asked me the question like, is it for me because is it just for kids? And I'm like, no, I mean, as long as you're willing to engage with a show about a high school protagonist because it's a well done show about a high school protagonist. You know, it's all in
I mean, you know,
execution.
my answer would be like, all of this stuff is kind of for kids.
Well, yeah.
It's comic books.
What of it is not for kids in your opinion? Like, you know, like it's all a sliding scale. But like, I don't think there's any reason an adult could not embrace this show who likes other Marvel stuff. It's Marvel.
I brought up my big comparison was Spider-Man: Homecoming, which it's like I get it. Tony Stark was in a few scenes, and it's Spider-Man, but ultimately is not thematically that different, like from this as far as
I mean,
the character and world. You know,
I don't think like Captain Marvel was like Phantom Thread, and you have to be like very mature for that one. But this one's more for the kids. Like that.
I don't know if you heard, but Daniel Day-Lewis will be in Marvel. So he's coming out of retirement. Psych Bachran says they should be more flexible with the number of how many episodes they will do. Need to tell a story. I mean, I think we definitely all agree on that one.
I would have really liked an eight episode Ms. Marvel run. I feel like that would have let them unpack a lot of this stuff more, and we probably would have gotten a little bit more with some of these characters who got, you know, a little bit of the short shrift.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have wanted like one more beat from Zoe showing up before the end here, because when she showed up, I was like, that's very suspicious. I thought that maybe she was like,
I thought this,
because then they were like, how did they know we were here? And then they never told us.
No. Yeah, like
I was like, oh well, probably Zoe has because they got to her, so maybe maybe they like
she's a
struck
mole.
a deal.
Yeah, she's damage control.
No, it turns out all you have to do is save your bully's life, and then they'll be your friend after that. That's all.
She wasn't a bully. She didn't bully her.
Yeah, she was narcissistic.
She was self-centered, but she said hi to her in the hallway and said nice words to her. I keep saying this. Kamala was never bullied. She was just a weird kid.
I do like when they have her do her TikTok video to like get help. One of the things that are like with the comments is someone going like, Avengers, get to the school, Zoe needs our help. And I thought that was great because it sounded like a little meta commentary. There it goes. Avengers go to Cole's High, Zoe needs you.
Avengers.
Daredevil should
because
really.
Everyone's like, where are the Avengers when anything happens?
Daredevil's right across the water. Like, I know it's not Hell's Kitchen, but like you're not that far away, Matt.
Man,
Come
just
on.
take the subway.
Just like it's a bridge. There's a bridge
running.
nearby.
Let's see, Denver 8 says, Miss Marvel did a neat way to move the Miss Marvel development. I think you mean like the actual name identity, be more ingrained with her identity outside of being an homage, since that wouldn't make sense. I mean, I agree. It's like, yes, there is the cosmic coincidence that, I mean, she makes a joke about it that like Marvel
She's got the same
She
name.
already loves Captain Marvel, but I do like that it's not only predicated on that, especially because in the comic books, Miss Marvel was a legacy name. Like that was Carol's old superhero name.
Right.
And we don't have that here. So
I would have liked more of a sense of what about Captain Marvel was so captivating to Kamala. Like, I don't really feel like it was just like from the very beginning, it was just like
podcast.
I love Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers is the best. And like, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. Like, I get it. A kid would pick their favorite, but I think that would have more meaning if we had some reason for it other than just like she picked out of a hat.
Do you have a favorite superhero?
Well, they're not real. I mean, I'm sure I would if they were real.
Yeah.
Have fun, Lon.
No, I'm not saying I don't believe Carol's a vampire. I'm just saying like it would have more emotional impact, especially that moment where she realizes they're connected by more than just her being a fan.
Yeah.
If we had some sense, I felt the same thing in the pilot actually about, and we do unpack this more over the course of the show, but a lot of the stuff in the pilot was just kind of like, here's how it is. We don't really go any deeper. It's just like her parents don't trust her and are very afraid of everything. And she loves Captain Marvel for some reason. And it's just like, the more specific you can get with that stuff, the more it pays off later.
I think they do have a weird issue to deal with, which is the scope of the snap and the blip is so huge that how far down that do you want to go? I remember they said Shang-Chi, they cut back. There was some dialogue in Shang-Chi that did explain some of these characters were gone for those 5 years, some weren't and all that. And they realized like it's a lot to deal with, because I'm like, we don't know in those 5 years. First of all, we don't know if Kamala and her family, like, were they all around, but we also don't know, maybe Captain Marvel had adventures on Earth, like, you know, beyond, you know, like in those 5 years. Yeah. We just don't know. Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff you could have written in there to explain why Carol Danvers would be of particular interest to Kamala. We just never got.
I mean,
I'm willing to believe that a young girl would see a cool female superhero and be like, I like that one. and just
But she's
I
like
just like her.
she's like fixated. She's got like it's like
Have
she
you never met
only
someone who
likes
likes Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah, but if it was like I've got my own drawings that I did of Sonic the Hedgehog over an entire wall of my bedroom, I'd be like, this is a weird kid.
No, well,
No?
kids are weird. That's the thing. Kids are weird.
Bailey's right.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm just saying it would have been. I'm not saying I don't believe
Emma
it.
says
I'm saying I
Bailey's
think it would have
right.
been
Did you hear
dramatically more satisfying. The more detail you could give about why what these people see and the things that they love, the more thorough it is of a character.
I don't need it. I
background.
think a lot of these properties have a bad habit of over-explaining, and I don't need that. I am willing to believe she just has a favorite. She's a kid who has a
But then
favorite.
it doesn't pay off. It's
But-
just like, look, your favorite's here. Like, great.
Hope,
that was her favorite.
I think I'm in the
So-
middle but I do wonder, like in the Marvels, maybe there'll be. Let's talk about. We've actually danced around. We haven't talked about the credit scene, and I actually want to read a comment about that. But first, let's just talk about it. Now, look, this is not the most shocking surprise cameo ever because we figured they had to have a credit scene that was going to lead into the Marvels, whether Brie Larson was in it or not. Like something was going to happen. But I thought it was really fun as far as like what the hell is happening? Why did they swap places? We can only assume that Kamala just got sent to wherever the hell Carol Danvers was off in space or something.
I mean, we know from WandaVision that wherever Monica, am I getting the right
Yep.
Rambeau?
Yeah,
Monica
Monica
Rambeau met a Skrull who was like, hey, Nick Fury Nick Fury needs you in space. And now we've got, I feel like whatever Nick Fury needed help with in space is probably what the Marvels is going to be about. And now we're going to have to, like, we can presume Ms. Marvel is zapped to wherever that is, and we'll have to follow Carol finding them and helping them with
I
whatever.
don't know, because I thought that like that still we just saw where she's like looking at her hands sort of implied that she might be Kamala.
Oh, see, I didn't think that only because her looking at the room, like she's looking at the posters of herself.
Yeah, she figures out I'm
I
in the
don't
room
know.
of an
Look at those
earthbound.
hands.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that it's because whatever happened, however this connection was formed and they swapped places,
Yeah.
has something to do with Kamala's powers.
Yes.
Sure.
So Carol is like, what is happening to my hands? Because she's got the glow now, I think.
Yeah. So John Bainbridge says, imagine appearing in a room full of pictures of you that sounds like the start of a stalker horror like Misery. I think there is a comedic element to that, and they will explore that. Because I know the Marvels, we already knew that Kamala's family were in it, which made sense because you have a teenage superhero. That I assumed to be like, have to go to space, Mom and Dad.
Right.
So, yeah,
But it'll be them
It's gonna
helping
be
Carol.
Yeah,
her
no, I'm
walking
reading
out.
over your shoulder. In the comics, she changes into Carol.
Yes.
Langley, thank you.
Yes,
Got
that
a
is
little bit of a
true. When she's
backup.
figuring out her powers in the comics, she accidentally makes herself look like Carol, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think
That
that's-
weird
yeah.
shot of her looking around her own bedroom and
Yeah.
being surprised to see lots of pictures of Captain Marvel kind of doesn't make sense if it's still her.
Maybe
that
she's
that
just
wouldn't seem
delighted
weird.
by her sense of interior
Like,
decorating.
oh, I'm in my own bedroom. Oh, like I just
wow,
was.
I've got a gift for this.
if it was she's changed bodies, you'd have a shot where she checks herself out in a mirror or sees a reflection. That's how
Right.
you reflect.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not in the right body.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
And then
I
she-
do that
and then
every
she Home
morning
Alone
live.
style.
That classic
Yeah.
trope. Yeah, I always do it too. Like, this is all wrong. I was supposed to.
Karan V says, I was hoping for an Ant-Man or Scott Lang cameo. It was referenced in the first episode, even when she visited Karachi. Do you think that should have happened? Well, the showrunner has talked about she just loves Ant-Man, so she just put a lot of Ant-Man references in. So that's her Captain Marvel.
Right.
So.
Well, and I do feel like if you do think about the Avengers lineup, who's the one that's going to be on like lots of like who's going to do hot ones? If they invite him?
I would watch
Oh,
that hot
God,
one.
Scott
Oh
Lang.
my God.
Oh man, if they use that clip, but they say it's Scott Lang.
They should really just use Paul Rudd's hot ones to make it Scott
man.
Lang did hot ones. But like that actually fits the character, I think, very well. He's the one who would
absolutely.
do everybody's podcast.
I just think, between the first episode and then the boys, we've had a lot of Ant-Man's presence felt across.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Across television lately without
Yeah.
having to see him.
Baton Valinsky says, She-Hulk, the next Marvel show, is showrun by the woman who wrote Pickle Rick. How do you feel about that? Well, Rick and Morty's been a big
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, because
already.
Michael Waldron, the Loki showrunner who wrote Doctor Strange 2, also comes from Rick and Morty. So that's just their Feige's like, get them all.
Well, what green character is she going to do next?
They know the multiverse.
Gumby,
Like
Gumby!
Rick and Morty has already been playing around in that world.
I love green characters, and so does she. Let's go.
There is a Gumby project happening.
I need
there?
a Gumby
I think there is.
project.
Gotta be Operation Gumby.
Need to see a little more pokey in there.
Some like big studio just bought like all of Gumby. They're working on Gumby.
This is just Jawad Sarwana says, what's interesting is the show in Pakistan is obviously a big hit, but Disney Plus not available in Pakistan unless you BitTorrent. From a demographic move of increasing markets, it's odd. I'm sure, look, Disney wants to be wherever they can be. So
Yeah.
if they're not there, there's a reason they can't. I know they actually gave it a theatrical release, Miss Marvel in Pakistan. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. You know, you can.
So nice way to circumvent that.
Yeah.
They're working on it. I'm sure they're a lot of the time it's about merging, like if they can acquire or they can merge with another streaming platform that's already available in that country, then that's how they kind of sneak in. Like there's that Hotstar or Star Plus in a lot of Asian and European countries, and that's how they get Disney Plus. I'm sure behind the scenes they're working on something for you, Pat.
Don't worry, Disney will do all they can to be.
They're determined. Whatever they've got to do, they don't want to not be on in Islamabad.
Let's actually I'll bring this one up because it goes a little more along to what we were talking about before we even started filming, which is Seattle KO says, I still think Eternals should have been the Marvel movie / show that dropped the mutant nugget, and our discussion about like how like
we all kind of thought it would be.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make that sound.
I mean, you're sitting with two Eternals defenders,
just like the Fox X-Men chime, you've got your Eternal sound.
God, it was just so boring. I just didn't like it. I think it would have been funny if they dropped it during the sex scene, though.
did you know that
It's just like that time I met Dr. or Professor X. What? And then they keep going.
Apocalypse when? I think that we were talking about like it's interesting that they put this is like a huge deal and that they put it at the end of this show, but I do think maybe it is a weird calculated thing because this show, look, we love this show, but this show had none of the pre-existing characters, unlike every other Disney Plus Marvel show. Pre-existing characters from movies, or with Moon Knight, two big stars to like be a draw. This was like not known actors and with a character that is not well known. But I do think maybe there's something to be said for them knowing that there's a lot of headlines out there today about Miss Marvel introduced mutants. So
just making people retroactively go back, which is good. I want more people to watch this show.
And they know that people do that. Like they can look at the data and see like before a movie opens that intersects with one of these shows, the views on that show go up. Or like, and I mean, I'm not saying I have all this data. I don't. But like they're looking at when we announced that D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are going to come back for Echo, what happens to the views on Daredevil on Disney Plus. Right. So my assumption is that yes, they're very aware that they can goose views on this later by referencing stuff that interacts with it.
Yeah, I mean, even Hawkeye, like, it's like if people weren't watching Hawkeye and then they heard, Kingpin shows up in the last two episodes.
They're definitely doing stuff like that on purpose. I don't know if in this case they did it on purpose, although it seems like they must. Obviously, there was a lot of thought put into, like, where are we going to make this official?
Yep. Well, guys, I think we can bring it home there. Those are our thoughts on Miss Marvel, a show we all enjoyed. It's. I was thinking about the fact that we usually get the like so and so will return at the end thing, but this is one of the few times that they get to say the actual project.
Yeah.
It's not just like they'll return at some point.
Yeah, we're definitely. This is a direct lead in. I mean, this is basically how Marvel's is going to open. I feel like.
Yep. Which is funny that it's a year away, so we don't get to like that immediate. But
gotta catch them young.
They got not like they don't have other content for us.
Yeah, they know.
But what do we got coming up on the Fandom Twitch?
Oh, well, at 3 p.m. Pacific time today, we will be playing The Quarry. Emma, my dear streaming partner, played it without me, and from what I understand, killed everyone. Got everyone killed. No. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see the remains of the teens.
So check that out. Check that Emma-driven carnage.
Twitch.tv/fandom at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Me and Emma Fyffe will be playing some fun, campy horror.
Yep. So check that out. We'll have more here on this Fandom YouTube channel. We're going to have stuff at Comic-Con. There's stuff coming. Thanks, guys, for checking this out. We'll see you next time.